Here are my first impressions of the new HARMAN Phoenix 200 colour film. I got my hands on a roll early doors and had the opportunity to shoot it immediately on a holiday to Valencia in Spain. I loaded this into my Pentax SP1000 with a 55mm Super Takumar lens. This is a brand new 35mm colour film emulsion developed by HARMAN. I talked more about the significance of this film release in my previous video, so make sure to go check that out. For this first look video, I'm going to take you into Lightroom with me to show you the unedited TIFF files I got back from the lab to give you a true idea of this film's characteristics. Results can vary depending on where you develop and scan your film. I use Exposure Film Lab in the UK, who are based in Hereford, for the development and scanning. The screen captures you see from Lightroom, these files are all TIFFs rather than JPEGs, as I've received them raw unedited from my film lab. Exposure Film Lab give you the option of how you'd like your film scanned, and as usual I've opted for flat and neutral options to try and get the most accurate representation of the film colour profile. I'm not going to be doing any edits here for this first look video, I'm just going to be showing the images raw and just talking through what I think of them, my first reaction. Okay, first impressions. This is one of the first shots from the roll. This shot really shows off some of the key characteristics of the Phoenix 200. We've got the halation happening around these lights, as you'd maybe expect from Still 800T. Also bright vibrant reds and oranges here on the fruit and veg, but then these low lights slightly muddier. Overall I'm happy with the composition. I think this is a good representation of one of those typical kind of market scenes that you might take on holiday. A more extreme example we've got here, the butchers, and this lady here, and everything around her has just been cast deep into red by the meat. I don't think this is a fair representation of what things actually look like. Not sure what's going on here, if this is just the film getting overwhelmed by red and then red reflections creating a cast here, but I don't feel this is really the scene that I saw in real life. Next up, this is perhaps a good example of a mixed lighting environment. So here we've got heavily shaded street areas, we've got lots of highlight exposure up here and a really blue turquoisey sky. I think the colours are a bit hyper real. You see the stylization of the Phoenix 200 in this shot. You can see around the edges of this tree we've got lots of halation and very distinct separation of the colors. The green quickly transforms into an orange. There's not a kind of a clean roll off between these colors. It's just almost like it's kind of been dip dyed, this tree, because of the way that it's handling those highlight direct sunlight areas. And you can see that as well here on the transition from the building in the shade into the sunlight, how suddenly it's not just warmer, it's not just brighter and blooming out, but it's actually kind of radiating this orangey color with the halation all around it. And we're losing detail in there as well. That's not just due to overexposure on my part, but actually that halation kind of eradicates some of the finer details in there. Now you can see here where we've exposed for the image in this mixed lighting environment, we've got really nice hard shadows drawing the eye towards this central focal point where we've got this figure, and it's actually done really well with these areas of the photograph, the more middle ground areas. Overall I'm really pleased with this composition, and I think this shows off some of the quite cool characteristics of the Phoenix film. This one a little bit more challenging. We can see different colors in direct sunlight, but you can see the fall off in the shadow areas. Now this has created a very dramatic image. I've got some GoPro clips to accompany this where you can actually see what the GoPro's picked up. I think you can see there's much more dynamic range in the real situation than there is here. It's very punchy. I don't think this is a good representation of how I saw this scene and how I saw this composition, but the film has really brought out a high contrast look. Now some of you might like that, some of you may not. This is a building that I really liked. What I really liked is these corner flourishes that move up it, almost kind of like a spine or bones. A couple of other pictures of it here. You can see this one where again the direct sunlight is radiating and reflecting a really vibrant orange color. What's nice to see with the HARMAN Phoenix 200 is a bold and distinctive look. We've got color films already on the market that can give us a kind of a clinical, quite a neutral representation. Do people want an alternative? Perhaps they do want an alternative that's good quality at a lower price than what Kodak are offering, but arguably it's more exciting for people and more people will try out a film that has its own look. And you know, playing into that Phoenix imagery and that orange color of the film box, it suits quite well because I'm really seeing a common theme here in these photos of this orange really kind of kicking out and being a key characteristic of the new film. Another look here at that same building. You can see already quite a stark difference. These are all taken roughly at the same time of day. The change in how the film is rendering it. All of them quite similar, and I really like what's happening here with the shadows cast off from these sticking out kind of balcony points. It makes for a very interesting image with lots of different shades and colours and tones on the same overall surface. This hopefully gives you a good idea of how variable this film can be. Next up, this is one of the shots I think where the film has really performed well. This is just a simple still life when we stop for some food and drink. Simple composition, low aperture. You can really see the film rendering the colours in a really bold, dynamic way. I think this is one of the best shots from the roll in terms of showing what this film can do. This is one where I think I'm feeling a bit of frustration with this film. I would typically think another like a 200 film would cope with a situation like this quite well. Here we've got a really interesting park structure where we've got some people serving food and drink, and I was trying to capture one of the people within this window kind of subframed, but also capture the overall piece of architecture. In this situation, I don't feel it was as contrasty as this. We lose a lot of details in the shadows here, though I was trying to meter for these shadows and I was using my Sekonic, so there should be a high level of accuracy in terms of my metering here. You can also see here not just the surface of the building, but actually that halation kicking off and actually blending onto the tree trunk here, so you can see how wild that kind of reaction of the Phoenix film is to highlights and areas that are reflecting direct sunlight. But then yet at the same time, we should have a lot of ambient light in this scene. The actual building itself is starting to get murky and grainy and kind of getting this dark cast where I don't feel this really represents the true lighting conditions there in the moment in the scene. So again, applying a really distinctive look. If you like a high degree of naturalism in street photography film, for example, I don't think this is the film for you. However, if you like a more stylized look, particularly a punchy, high contrast look, you're going to really enjoy this film. I'm going to be interested to see more results from this film where we're not necessarily in bright, direct daylight scenarios, less high contrast situations, because a lot of my photos really show off this kind of halation and direct sunlight kicking out here, but I'm having to also stop down for shadow areas, so I'm typically allowing my highlights to be overexposed. Another one here where I don't feel that we fully represented the actual conditions as I would have liked to have seen them. This could have been quite a nice street style shot of this guy laying the table, and I do still like the composition, but unfortunately I feel between the table, chairs, shadows and the man's legs, we don't have enough definition around the edges, and they're starting to bleed into each other because of this kind of murky grain structure. So in my previous videos, people have obviously said, oh, they really like the charm of grain, and fair enough. If that's something that you look for, then this might be a great film for you. Personally, I prefer a more natural representation, particularly for street photography. So this is one that I might find a bit frustrating to use if I'm looking to capture a real authentic feel to a place. Now, this is a cool one. I really like this composition. Lots of things going on here. Got direct sunlight getting very low in the day into the park through these different palm trees. We've got the historic bridge here crossing the Turia River. Different people enjoying the sun, creating some focal points of interest between these trees. So I love the composition on this one. And again, you can see this extra halation layer around the direct sunlight, adding something here that's quite unique to the Phoenix film. The high contrast punchy look I think works well for this because it separates our hard shadows from some of these brighter areas, real clean high level of definition. But if you wanted shadow detail in this, it's obviously kind of all gone. We've just got this high contrast look, but I think it suits this photo and really plays into what I was trying to do here. This photo, unfortunately, not so much. Here, I think I would have wanted a more neutral handling of these white areas, and you can already see the color cast being picked up on these. Yet, underneath the bridge, we're losing low light detail. I'd say it kind of supercharges your reds and your oranges, sometimes to an extent that's too much, I think, for the rest of the colors in the picture to keep up with, so they can look really vibrant and not necessarily fit the tone of the rest of the picture. But you know, that might be a look that you like. So here's a good example where we don't have so much orange orange or red, we've got quite muted greens, some of the blues casting onto the structure here, not really popping. It's kind of quite a cool tone. So where we don't have the reds and the oranges, you can see actually that this film delivers quite a cool muted color palette. Here, this is one of my favorite pictures of the set, focusing more on the reflection rather than the actual structure. So the blues in this reflected sky are really strong and vibrant. Got lots of detail still here and tonal change through this different kind of whitey orange piece. And in the actual structure, you can still see it picking up that kind of orange halation that we've seen. Still see it here. Look how much that's bleeding off of the actual edge. So for more detailed architectural pictures, you may not want to choose this film. Here, this is a really stylized and high contrast image. You can see a lot of the film's own look putting itself onto this. So the City of Arts and Sciences in Valencia is all big, huge white structures, and you can see how much of a color cast the Phoenix film has applied here. I don't dislike this. This is almost like a postcard image, and actually that warm color cast suits it quite nicely. Now this one, Low Light at Night, shows how nice, neutral, cool this film can be in a low light environment. I was really trying to get the focus here on the bouquet and have all these people more anonymous in the background, busy at work and slightly blurred. I think this is one of the photos that really shows off the potential of the Phoenix film. This is one of those mixed lighting scenarios which I think is quite dynamic and demanding, like I've talked about before. But for me, this one just works. We haven't got so much wild halation and reflection on this. We've still got this orangey color cast. It looks nice and suits the feel though of Spain and this kind of holiday vibe. We do have those deep blacks. We do have that shadow fall off. But in this scenario, I think it really works well. Again, another kind of high contrast scene. We've got lots of the streets in shadow, but one big beam of light being cast through this and perfectly across this crossing here, hoping to catch a few people whilst we have the city in the background. The city in direct sunlight is obviously blooming and halating, as we've seen in many of these photos. Low lights, very cool and getting a bit fuzzy with the grain. Here we've got more of the city rooftops in direct sunlight. This is more of a typical image. No major comment. Perhaps surprised at the level of grain that appears in this picture, despite it being pretty evenly lit throughout the frame. These are some quite exciting photos I got near the end of the roll. We happened upon a wedding that was taking place. So we had all of these people dressed up and in the square, gathering and waiting for the bride and the groom to emerge from this cathedral. So this made for a really interesting opportunity for street photography. Unfortunately, I only had a couple of shots left. So I got this one here before things really started to unfold. I thought this was an interesting composition with the door and the people. You can see different colors and how they're handled here. We've got the greens, we've got reds and oranges, yellows, blues. So a good mix of colors in this sample. Now this one's become a really stylized dramatic image. As part of the celebrations, we have these, what they're called falas. They're kind of like fireworks, but they're less about the colors and more about the noise. And these two guys had just been involved in kind of setting these off. So I got a picture of the aftermath. You can see some of the smoke from these in the square. I don't think that this film renders an accurate representation of colors, tones and shade. The latitude is quite punchy. With this opportunity for street photography, is this an accurate representation of the scene? No, but has it become a very dynamic and dramatic image? Look at this deep orange of the building with the smoke and then the deep dark shadows of all these suits down here, these guys peering behind over towards what's just happened. This is not the photo I was really trying to get, but it's become an image that's quite intriguing. Not necessarily what I wanted from it, but in its own right, perhaps one that kind of stands out in this set. So let me know what you think on this one. So I'm sure there's some more technical videos out there going into the real color science of this film emulsion, but hopefully this has been a useful video for you to see some examples of HARMAN Phoenix 200 out in the real world, different lighting environments, different subject matter, for you to make up your own mind if this is something you want to go out and shoot with. So in conclusion, I think this is a great addition to have to the range of films available to us now. I like the vibrant, punchy orange character and the reds, how these colors are handled. I like the way that we get deep contrasty blacks on this. So in some of these high contrast environments, we get really dramatic images. For a more neutral, realistic representation of scenes, this isn't a film I'd be choosing. Maybe for more technical street photography, I wouldn't want to be casting so much of a character onto my images. But maybe for holiday photos, portrait shoots, more stylized images, this is definitely a cool film to experiment with. And I'm actually interested to try this more now in some low light environments where I've got less direct sunlight using more of the cool muted colors. Let me know if you'd like to see me shoot this again and how you'd like me to do it. If you're new to my channel, give me a like, give me a subscribe, follow along, do all the good stuff. Hope you've enjoyed this, and see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.